All right. Well, I hope this is working because I'm terrible with technology and this is my first loom. But welcome in, everybody. This is really, I want this to be, let's get off the good stuff first. Really, what I want this to be is a breakdown and an insight for all of you as to how I go about creating transformations like I did for myself and that individual you just saw, my one of my best clients I've ever had, my man Daniel. Now, essentially what you're going to learn in this video is how to go from skinny fat. I use skinny fat because that's where I was when I started, but really any kind of overweight, to beach body. And the reason why I say beach body is because a beach body looks different for all of us. You'll get into more of my story and why beach body means abs for me later on in this. But everybody's got a different vision of what it is when I say beach body. So that's what I want you thinking about. What is that for you? What does that body look like? You know, how much fat do you have on you? How much muscle do you have on you? Whenever I say beach body here today, I want you to be thinking of that image of how you want to look. All right. So how to go from skinny fat or overweight to beach body in 90 days or less without giving up, your favorite foods, social outings, or making the gym your personality in your life. All right. So that's really it. And there's some guarantees, some fun stuff that I'm going to be giving you guys here today as well, in terms of how you can guarantee what I mean of your results by following this method. So there's going to be a lot of really, really good stuff and information and tactics that you can apply today to start making progress towards that body that you want. So just before we really dive into it, I want to give you guys a bit of a snapshot as to the case study we're going to be talking about today. And as you hopefully know, my name is Troy. I'm a fitness coach and I've been a personal trainer for about 5 years and working out myself for over 10. But what I'm going to show you guys primarily today is going over how I got my client Daniel. One second here. Come on. There we go. How my guy Daniel made this massive transformation and how he was able to lose over 20 pounds between these two pictures, as well as get under 12% body fat. And he used a DEXA scan for that, so you can actually believe it, while building muscle in less than 4 months. So this is what he looked like at the start of his journey. Not a terribly out of shape dude, right? But then that's how he looked at the end. Now, the thing that I want to keep in mind when it comes to Daniel's transformation here is he's not just some kid, that has all the time in the world. Like, he's a real adult. He's married. He's got a family. And he works really high up at Meta too. And they ride him and keep him very busy. Let's just say that. But he was able to do this transformation while, yes, having that job, while also reconstructing his house because him and his wife just bought something. So they're doing that. He plays professional frisbee, which I did not know was a thing, like at a professional level, until I started working with him. And he's building a family with his wife. So this guy's got a lot on his plate. And it's not like he's just somebody that has all the time in the world to be able to make this transformation. He's juggling a lot of plates. And that's why what we are teaching and how this Beachbody method really creates transformational results is because it's not just to get quick, I was going to say get rich quick, but get fit quick method, right? It's nothing like that. It's something that helps you. Yes, there's a timeline in which he's able to do this, a really great timeline. But at the end of the day, I don't work with him anymore because in that timeline, we created habits that he's been able to maintain. And that's the key. Because whenever I work with anybody, I always tell them, like, yeah, I'll help you to build this body that you want. But my goal is to equip you to be able to maintain that body when we're done working together. That's really what it's all about. And that's what we were able to do for him, despite all of the things he has going on. But before we really dive into this, dang it. Sorry, like I said, I'm not good with technology, so you're probably gonna hear me cuss at technology a lot today. So pardon my French in advance. But I want to go over who's this for and who is this not for, right? So that way, if this is you, to stay all the way to the end. And if you're like, this is not me, then go ahead and hop off now. I don't want to waste anybody's time. Doesn't mean that if this isn't for you that your thoughts or your perspectives or what you want out of this is wrong. It just means that this might not be the place for you. But I know one thing, that there's a path for everybody. That's one of the core keystones of my philosophy, is that there are multiple ways to get to every single result. So we got to find what's best for you. And if what I'm saying here is not what's best for you, that's okay. Hopefully somebody can get you what you need at the end of the day, my friend. So this is going to be for you if you want to lose 20 pounds of fat and keep it off while building muscle so you can feel confident taking your shirt off at the beach or in the bedroom, no judge, this is going to be for you. 2, if you're stuck on a plateau of building muscle or losing fat, like you've been putting in some work and then you've hit this wall and you can't break past it, this is for you, because part of what I'm teaching is not just how to create this progress, but what are the ways in which you can actually like overcome those plateaus when you're trying to lose fat, when you're trying to build muscle. Like that is some part of the strategies that will come into play when we talk about the training portion of the method, as well as the nutrition portion. 3, if you're feeling lost and you're just like, what do I even do? Like, where do I start? Some people say keto. Some people say, low fat. Some people say intermittent fasting. Like, what should I be doing to actually achieve my results? Should I be doing CrossFit? Should I be doing workout classes? Should I be doing bodybuilding? Like, what should I be doing? Like, that is all going to be answered here today. And we're going to keep it as simple as possible with that kind of stuff too. 4, if you've tried all the quick fixes and you've yo-yoed, you've rebounded. I've done that in various different ways and made so many mistakes on trying to do things like intermittent fasting that caused me to yo-yo, doing things like HIIT cardio every single day that just made me feel exhausted and never really made any progress towards muscle growth, even though I was thin. But like, that wasn't the look I was after. Nothing wrong with it, just not what I wanted. So if you have been doing those quick fixes and yo-yoing, this is for you, because this is how we're going to get you lasting results. And then if you find like all the information that you see on the internet just like complicated and overwhelming, and you just want to streamline, like, this is the answer, this is how I'm going to get it from me, this is for you. Because again, we're finding things that are customized and specific to you, not one size fits all approaches. All right, which actually I would add right now is one of the things that is not for you. If you want a one size fits all approach, this ain't it for you. A few other things to keep in mind if this isn't for you. If you're scared to try something new or change what you're currently doing, or to be coached and to maybe get a little bit of tough love once in a while, I'm going to be honest, this just isn't for you. And if you have been watching any kind of my content on Instagram or anywhere, you know I'm a nice guy. I'm easygoing. When I used to teach classes, they used to call me a cheerleader. I wasn't the drill sergeant. But at the end of the day, if you actually want to see lasting transformation, there may come a time in the time in which we work together, or the time in which you're working on anything, that you need to get some tough love. You need to be told, hey, you know what you're doing right now ain't it, right? You need to make a change. I think in all areas of our life, we all need to be open to that, whether it's career-wise, with your relationships. My wife tells me what I'm doing wrong all the time, right? So like, we just need to be open to hearing that we're doing something a little bit wrong, and then we can maybe do it better. Because even if you want to figure out a way to do this on your own, I'm going to give you a blueprint today. I'm going to give you information. So if you are not willing to look at the information and try something new because you've been doing something and it has not been getting you the result that you want, then you need to be open to trying something new. And so I'm going to be probably giving you some new options today. So I hope some of them stick out to you, and maybe one can, be helpful, help you to find a little bit of an edge in a certain area of your life. So got to be open to be coached. 2, if you're looking for a quick fix, this ain't for you. Go buy a pill, go get an injection. Nothing against them. They work for the right people. This isn't the environment in which that is going to be the lasting choice. Because even if you do one of those things, you got to create the habits that are going to support them. So this isn't a quick fix space. If you're not ready to invest at least 4 to 5 hours into bettering yourself every single week, I'm sorry, this isn't for you. Like, like I said in the beginning, you don't need to make the gym your personality. That all those 4 to 5 hours aren't going to all be in the gym. But we need to take time to plan our nutrition throughout the week. We need to take time to potentially cook it, right? You're going to eat 3 square meals in a day anyways, right? Hopefully. So what we're going to do is just take a little bit of time to make sure that those square meals are going to help you to get closer to your goals. We also need to spend some time in the gym or exercising. Can be in a class, can be at the gym, can be outside, something that's going to help you to resistance train and move your body. But we got to be spending at least 4 to 5 hours a week on this. And if you can find that time, you can be successful with this. No matter how busy your career is, though, I have a funny feeling you got at least 4 to 5 hours in a week, if you count the things that you're already doing that waste your time and aren't productive. And the last thing, if you don't want to be a better person, it's not for you. I like working with people that want to be the best version of themselves. That's who I want to be. I want to grow. I want to evolve. I want to become a better person. And every single day I'm challenging myself with, fitness, my business, my relationship, to become that better person. And so I want to work with people that are the same. And if that's not you, that's okay. I'm just not going to be for you. And I'm being honest with that up front. So let's keep going. All right. So some hard truths for you here. All right. So the truth about building a beach body that lasts is that you can 100% do it. You can 100% build whatever body you want and have in your mind without changing your lifestyle, without just eating chicken and rice, without making the gym your whole personality or being like that fucking looks maxing guy. Sorry, pardon my French. But like, you don't need to like max out every area of your life. If you want to, cool. Hell yeah. Go for it. I'm going to support you, but you don't need to actually create lasting results. And the reason why most people at the end of the day don't ever get close to building a body that they feel comfortable in, the type of body where they don't have to like be pulling their shirt as they're walking around. That's what I used to always do when I was overweight. Or the type of body where they're like stretching it out so that way it feels like the fat isn't clumping in their stomach. Again, something I used to do. The reason why they don't do that is it comes down to really three key thought deficiencies, perspectives that are incorrect or not conducive to the body that they want to build, I should say. And the first one is what and when to prioritize when it comes to nutrition, right? Because eating healthy is great, but it's not everything. Just being honest. 2, how to efficiently work out. And what that means is that like I had this joke. Going to the gym and expecting to build muscle is like getting naked and expecting someone to you, right? If you're just doing the thing that leads to the act or the result that you want, that doesn't mean you're going to get the result. Because at the end of the day, how you do something dictates what you get out of it. So we need to be efficient with the time that we're spending in the gym. So that way that hour to 3 hours, whatever it's going to be that you're spending in there, a day, a week, whatever, is going to lead to something on the back end of it. So that's a big piece of this. And then 3, where to fit that into your lifestyle, right? Like I said, you can do this without changing your lifestyle. So how do we fit these things into your lifestyle? And all that, I'm going to go over how I've done it for specifically Daniel, but it's going to give you some light bulbs, some insights that will hopefully help you to be able to apply it into your life. Because at the end of the day, the people that I do work with one-on-one, we get it into their life. But I'm going to have to give you his example today because I don't know your situation. So hopefully you can glean some stuff from his. But like at the end of the day, right? Most people, the reason why they don't find the solution to these 3 things is because they're looking for quick fixes. They think that they need to drop all their responsibilities and, make fitness a priority over their family, over their career or whatever. And that leads to yo-yo progress, right? You're like all in for a little bit. You make some progress and then life happens. You got to do something else. You got to prioritize something else because that's normal. And then you're like, oh crap, how do I maintain both, right? So we got to create that balance. But look, if you're here, if you're listening to this and you're taking the first step into building a simple routine and avoiding the biggest mistakes that most guys make, feeling stuck, and it's buying into those justifications. It's buying into the fact that they think that, they have to just eat chicken and rice and they hate chicken and rice. I hate chicken and rice. I never eat it. It doesn't happen. Or buying into the fact that, they need to spend 6 hours a week in the gym. I don't do that. I'm in a gym right now. I don't spend 6 hours there. I spend a lot of hours here. I don't spend 6 hours there a week, right? So like it's when you buy into those and when you allow those to be an excuse, you're never going to find the solutions. So that's the first thing I want you to do is just get rid of all those justifications. What are you thinking right now that has felt like a really good reason to not work out, to not eat your nutrition? And I want you to write that shit down. And then I want you to just look at it. And because if you just write it down and look at it, you'll see it's a little ridiculous. And then just throw that shit away and forget about whatever those opinions or justifications are. But here's a few things that like I want you to pay attention to and make sure that you get out of this today beyond just like a breakdown is I want you to learn how to handle the pitfalls that I've mentioned, right? I want you to be able to game plan for those because that's how you're going to actually be successful. Yes, lifting more weight, eating less calories. Those are going to be the X's and O's. But the strategy, the nuance, what keeps you consistent is avoiding those pitfalls that I just mentioned. So I'm hopeful that you can glean a few solutions that we created for Daniel that you're going to be able to use for yourself here today. 2, you're going to see how my client, specifically him, and how my other clients implement the Beachbody method and achieve the results that they want. You're also going to learn how can you literally lose 10 pounds in 60 days out the gate. Right? I'm going to walk you through that, especially when I come to the nutrition piece of what we did for Daniel. Right there, you're going to have the blueprint of how to do it. Like step by step, what to do. I can't figure out your specific calories for you, right? But everything else, I got you on. And then how to do all this while maintaining your lifestyle and continuing to build your career. Because again, I'm a career driven individual. That's why I'm building this business here. I like working with people that are career driven too. There's a simpatico that happens in that regard. And I just think that people that are driven to achieve something beyond fitness in their life are going to be more successful at building a body that they want. Because when you're ambitious and you're focused on finding solutions, you're going to do everything you can to find the right solutions. And that is going to be applied to all areas of your life, not just your career, not just your fitness, but also your relationship with your wife, with your kids, with your parents. You know, we gotta keep all of these going. I know sometimes we don't want the relationship with our parents, but I love mine, even though we've got a past, as we all do, right? But we need to have good ones. So let's keep working on it. Now, a little bit more about me before we really get into the nitty gritty, because maybe you're even thinking like, who is this guy? I've seen him post with his shirt off on the internet. He's a little cringe sometimes, but I like what he's got to say. I like his body, or whatever you're thinking here, right? Hopefully you like me for my personality. I hope that's true. Not just, yeah. Anyways, I'll leave it there. Let me just go back to so you can see me and my transformation. I mean, hopefully you can see the whole shtick with this right here and see all the goods. But for me, I'm 6'1". I roughly hang out around 195 pounds given the day. And I've maintained those abs that I have right there for nearly a decade. Not always in the healthiest ways, and I'll get to that in a moment. But it's something that I have been able to do. It is something that I am proud to have been able to do, not because I've done it the whole time, but because I found better ways of doing it, which is largely in part what I'm going to be sharing with you here today. Now, like I said, it has been a long journey for me to get to where I am today, because when I started, I was skinny fat. That's not my OG picture. There's a few pictures on my Instagram that you should be able to see that are where I really started this whole journey about 10 years ago. And I was skinny fat. And the picture that I use when I posted myself as skinny fat was an interesting time in my life, because I had already been working out at that time. I'd been eating salads. I'd been trying to do healthy things and thought I looked like the guy on the left in this picture, or on the right, sorry, and wasn't even close to it. So the point is that I've made a lot of mistakes. I've done a lot of things wrong, and I'm here to help you guys to avoid those. But like, why did I start all this? Getting into fitness, getting those abs, right? Why did that matter to me? Well, there's a few weird things that I learned that I was told growing up. And two of them, key ones, happened when I was in middle school. One, I remember talking to this girl and she goes to me, "Yeah, I only date guys with a six pack." I was like, "Well, I'm fucked." And the second one is another girl, same friend group, different girl. She was a neighbor, and we were walking home together, and we see this random adult running, shirtless guy. And she just turns to me and goes, "You can never run outside unless you have abs, or never run outside shirtless unless you have abs." And I was like, "I guess I'm keeping my shirt on for the rest of my life." Those were the thoughts that I had. So like, those few things happening early on in my life created this weird fixation that I now have with having abs. It is how I feel more comfortable, how I feel better about myself. I'm not saying it's right. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, because I'm at a healthy everything else, right? But that's the focus for me. And that's why Beachbody is having abs. But for you, it might just be a little less fat, a little more muscle. You know, I'm not saying you have to have abs, but I'm saying that's what it is for me. So if that's your goal, I got you. And again, if you just want to lose a little bit of fat, a little bit of muscle, I got you too. So this led me, like I said, all these things that when I graduated high school, I know it took some time for me to really start on those goals, right? But playing sports in high school, my weight would kind of come and go. Like, I'd be trim and thin, and then it'd get away from it. And then when I finished high school football is when like the weight just kind of packed on. I wasn't doing anything. I was like, sweet, I'm not forced to work out every single day, or yeah, some days, 2 days even at that time. So it was one of those things I was like, sweet and relaxed. But one day I saw myself, I did this, I was doing some dance stuff for the school, and just that lower midriff came up and just saw a nice little pooch of fat right there, and was like, all right, I'm doing something about it. But I did all the wrong things. All right. Like, I cut all my carbs. I did 2-a-days for a long time. When I was working in corporate, I'd do like 45 minutes a hit in the morning, go into the office, do an hour of strength at lunch in the little tiny gym that they had in the building. It was terrible because all the strength sessions I did were supersets. So I was just like not getting any rest, doing as many reps, as many sets as possible, thinking that like that more volume was going to lead to more growth. But all it did was like, it was just like 2 HIIT workouts, 2 cardio workouts, because I would just never stop moving during that strength. So I never really built any serious muscle on the back end of it, and kind of just stayed thin. And had already I struggle with my mental health, which is why I like cardio, I like running. Those things help with my mental health. But doing it like this and having such low food, like you need carbs for your brain, right? And so by not focusing on those things, not allowing that to be a key element of my diet, I lost, yes, weight, I got abs, but I felt like shit. And it doesn't matter how you look if you feel like shit at the end of the day. So we need to get there in a better way, so then that way we can, again, sustain the results that we do make. Because basically I did that for a long time. I avoided social outings. I ate plain ass boring meals. Like that was the only time in my life I ate chicken and rice. Only time in my life I did it. And I fucking hated it, to be honest with you. But then I got in a relationship. My beautiful wife, now, I mean, like we've kind of brought each other to center. She was like an athlete too, that wasn't working out a lot during college. And then I kind of brought her to be more fitness person. I was too crazy about it. She kind of brought me in. So we even each other out in a really good way. And so basically at that point, I got into the relationship with her, started to gain a little bit of the weight, still wasn't very strong, and just didn't like the way that I looked. I have pictures to prove all this, and I wish I could add them into the thing, but I didn't. But all of that led me to want to find a better way to do this, because I still wanted the abs. I still wanted the good body. Like, even though I was with her, it was like, yeah, this is great, but like, I need to do this for me ultimately. Right. So that's when I got into it I started getting into training more. And that actually led me, because one of my best friends still to this day is a personal trainer, and he was working at a gym. I basically went to him, started learning a few things. He put me through a program. I really liked it. I liked learning. I was really interested in it. And then I got my cert, while I was still working corporate. And then that was during COVID. And then right after that, when gyms started opening up, his gym was accepting more people because they needed to hire. And they gave me a shot, gave me an opportunity. I worked with some really, really smart people there, and just gained a fast, deep breadth of knowledge around training anybody. I've trained people that are playing paid sports right now. I mean, Daniel is getting paid a little bit, but he's not the key one. I got another guy that's playing college football at UCLA. I've trained people that can barely move and have never exercised and are coming in their 60s and have barely ever moved in their entire life. And I got to work on mobility things with them, so that way they can do things like get up off the couch, go upstairs without pain or without gasping for breath, right? So I worked with a wide variety of people, but I found my sweet spot is helping people like myself, right? People that have been skinny fat or a little overweight, want to get beach body ready, want to build sustainable muscle. And that's what I found is best for me. So throughout this time, I mean, I've gotten a nutrition coaching cert, my regular personal training cert, corrective exercise. I've done a mobility one that was like a week-long intensive. So I've done a lot of different trainings, and do certain things to continue to maintain that. But that's just a little bit more about me and what I'm bringing to the table here, and how I started to gain knowledge. And then basically, as I was gaining all that knowledge, I started to apply it. And over the course of the next year, without giving up any social outings, COVID was over, starting to open back up. Going on date nights with my wife. And, actually I went from 6 days a week in the gym to 5 days during this time too. So it was like, I actually reduced the amount of time that I exercise even. And I had killer progress to closer to what I look like on the right here. I was actually a little bit bigger than this because I was a little less cut within a year. And it was steady growth. It was awesome progress. It felt amazing. And so that's what led me to create the Beachbody method, to be able to have just a simple method for other people to be able to learn from, digest from, and easily implement. And look, it was a lot of trial and error, and there was frustrating at times, which is again why I did this, because I know everyone gets a little frustrated with things that they don't understand at the beginning. But I felt so proud of myself to do it in a healthy way, to do it in a sustainable way, to do it in a way that made me feel good. Like, yes, because of the abs, but also the muscle, all the good stuff as well, too. Right. And I just want you to think about it. Like, do you have something in your life that you once really, really wanted and worked really hard for and then achieved? Because if you do, like, that should give you, one, confidence as to what you can do here. Two, an insight as to how good it's going to feel to do this with your body. Right. And if you've never done anything like that before, I hadn't until I built this body either. So this was the first thing for me that led me to build a business that I now have. Like, I escaped I did well in corporate on the back end of it, but then I also was able to build a business to escape corporate. My relationship with my wife was not always great. Now it's fucking amazing. It started off a little rocky, and just like actually enjoy my life. I grew up with a lot of mental health things, a lot of challenges, but doing this and building this body has given me the confidence that I always wanted. So here we are. Now, I want to be very clear about all of this too, because at the end of the day, and I mentioned this already, the difference between those who achieve the body that they want is not just knowledge. I'm going to give you a lot of knowledge. I'm not going to give you all the knowledge that you need, because you probably generally know, like, train chest with triceps, or switch it up a little bit if you want to really focus on biceps, right? You have to eat a calorie deficit. You have to eat enough protein, right? So we're going to touch on some of those. But the difference I'm going to focus on today is what's going to keep you consistent and what's going to help you to execute at the highest level. Because ultimately, if you stay consistent, if you execute to the best of your ability, it does not matter what plan you're on. From a nutritional or training standpoint, it just matters that you execute and you stay consistent with that execution. So that's primarily what we're going to be talking about. And it is a simple plan. The Beachbody method is a very simple method, but that's because simple always beats complex. And my goal and what I do, by what I have done by creating this Beachbody method, is find ways for guys like you, like Daniel, to not just do their workouts or hit their macros, but to find habits and routines that make it doing those tasks of working out, of hitting their macros, part of their lifestyle, which makes executing on them easier. It's not always easy. It's going to be hard at times, depending on what your lifestyle specifically looks like. But we can find ways to make it easier by creating the right habits. So there's 4 key points that we're going to really go down today: nutrition, training movement, recovery, and consistency. All right, so let's dive in. So first and foremost, nutrition. Like I said, simple always beats complex. So we're always going to start with 2 daily goals. And I call these nutrition guidelines. Right? If you have anybody that is not a dietitian telling you they're going to make you a meal plan, run the other way. Dietitians that have master's, doctorate level education are the only ones in the United States of America that are allowed to write a meal plan. Everybody else who claims to be a nutritionist or nutrition expert, unless they are a dietitian, anybody who claims other things, a nutrition coach, whatever it is, they can only give you, at best, macro breakdowns. So I just want to leave that out there at first. But for me, where I start, because I don't want to complicate things, is just calories and protein, because it's the 80-20 rule, right? What is the 20% that's going to get you 80% the way towards your goal? When it comes to nutrition, that is going to be calories and protein, all right? So that's why those are the 2 that we're going to focus on. Now, to make sure that you hit those goals, the most effective way is to track, to log what you're doing. In all reality, there are 3 methods that you can use to reduce your calories. Time restriction, which is intermittent fasting, but it does not guarantee that you don't overeat within the time that you are allotted. Nutrient restriction, so that's like keto, cutting out carbs. Again, it can help because you're cutting out certain type of food, but at the end of the day, you can still overeat on fats and protein. You still eat too many calories of those. So the only one that's going to give you a guarantee that you eat the right amount of calories is if you log, and is if you track, which is calorie restriction, the third option. Okay, so that's why you can do whatever you want to do in those regards. I don't care. Daniel was actually a vegetarian, which does make things a little bit more challenging, but you see the results. Okay, so it works, is my only point. Now, that's just my little bit of 2 cents in terms of how we need to be thinking about nutrition, what it makes sense to even prioritize on, right? So now, with that being said, The last thing actually I do want to mention, right? Because calories are important because they determine your weight. Protein's important because it's essential for building muscle. I want you guys to know this. But the third thing that I have that I encourage clients to focus on, not necessarily tracking it, but just including foods throughout your day that have this within it is going to be really, really helpful, especially when you're trying to lose fat, because this micronutrient, might be saying that wrong to be quite honest with you, macronutrient. This aspect of nutrition is going to help keep you full, and it's fiber. Okay. Great fiber is veggies. Fruits have some good ones, but then potatoes are also key for it. So are beans, and different legumes, different foods like that. Okay. So fiber is something that I would highly recommend because it helps keep you full. It helps keep you regular. I don't want to be gross on this, but trust me, it's going to help, especially if you're having a lot of protein and that's new to your diet. You're going to want fiber. So as weird as that sounds, make sure you guys do it. Now, those are the key things to keep in mind. Sorry, I want to make sure I got all those for you guys. But whenever I start with somebody new, I'm not like, hey, here, hit this daily calorie and protein goal tomorrow. No, again, we want to make this stuff last. So here's how we do it. The first thing is I'm never going to tell you what to eat. And I didn't tell Daniel what to eat. He's a vegetarian. I'm not a vegetarian. So I didn't tell him what to eat. I just said, start tracking everything that you're eating for the next week. So what that means is using a food scale, is using MyFitnessPal, and he's tracking everything that he eats. And at the end of that week, then we have an idea as to what is the gap. When I say gap, I mean the gap between what he's currently eating and what he needs to be eating, calories and protein wise, to build the body that he wants. So depending on what that gap is, might be a large gap, might be a small gap. I'm here to help him. What I do with him is I just helped him pluses and minuses, adjustments to what he is already eating to close that gap and make sure that he is eating the right amount of calories, right amount of protein on a daily basis to build the body that he wants. I mean, again, like if you're doing this and you know your calorie goal, you can find it with a TDEE calculator. You can go ahead and you can find little ways to do it. I just do it faster for my clients. You can chat GPT it. It's not going to give you great ideas, but it can give you a little bit of guidance. There's a lot you can do to be able to find these things. I just help right there, work with him, make it a little bit quicker in that regard. Okay, so that's week 2 is when we get him just getting closer and working on hitting those numbers. So depending on how that goes, typically by week 3, everyone that I'm working with is hitting the numbers that they need to hit. If they're not, then they're really not that committed to finding a solution, or they've just got more challenges than we anticipated in terms of lifestyle outings and stuff like that. And so then we get into hitting or creating certain strategies around how they eat. Like I got one guy who's lost about 20 pounds and has been building muscle the whole time. He will probably be the next case study for this. He loves to drink. He loves to party. He lives in New York City. So he calorie banks like crazy. Right? He's got a log of what are his excess calories, what has he got going on, based upon also what are his social events coming up. Because he's a busy guy, his career driven, he works high up in the hospitality business. He's going around to different hotels all the time, meeting clients, doing different things, wining and dining. So he needs to really be on top of that. So for him, he tracks everything, but he always leaves himself room with the deficit that I create for him. So then that way, having drinks on the weekend, having a social outing with friends or with clients, whatever it is, does not throw them off track. So that's one of the strategies that we can use. It's called calorie banking or using a weekly deficit. Either one works. People just like to use fun names around it like I did with Beachbody Method. But at the end of the day, it's the same thing. It's basically just keeping your calories in check by not thinking about like, what am I doing today, but what does the whole week or even month look like at the end of the day? Okay. So that's one of the biggest things that's one of the biggest strategies that I do implement for people. But again, there's different ways. Maybe you didn't know that was going to happen. Then you're going to overeat. Maybe you snack at night, right? Sometimes changing those snacks to fruits helps for people. Sometimes cutting the snacks out is what's necessary for people. It doesn't matter like what is best for it. Both of them are fine. Right. But what matters is what's going to help you stay consistent with it. Right. Like I got one client who just likes having different fun snacks. He makes different weird recipes. He likes trying them. I got one guy that's like, no, I can't have it in the house. I just need to cut it out. So he went cold turkey. It's challenging, but both of them have made great progress at the end of the day. So again, balance is necessary, but what balance looks like is tailored to each individual. Okay. So once we get them created their balance and they're hitting those numbers, then it's a manner of monitoring how your body responds. Because even if we do everything perfect, maybe you're more active than we anticipated. Maybe you're less active than we anticipated. So we just got to make sure that you're on the right track towards the body that you want to build. And again, with whatever your goal is, however we're saying the nutrition, there's milestones that I'm helping you keep on top of and working towards. So that way we can discern whether or not we are on track, ahead of track, behind track, wherever we are. And that can help us to choose how we, if at all, change your calories or protein, or add in more macros, which I do for people like carbs and fats, but only when they really want to, or have an extensive history of tracking. Okay, so that's enough for nutrition. Let's get to the fun stuff. Training. All right. So Daniel was very unique in this one. I never had anybody like this. So, well, I'm going to start with the commonalities that he had with a lot of people that I do train. So what he typically did is he did a lot of classes. He did a lot of fitness classes. That's actually where I met him long before I ever started training him. When I did teach classes, he was somebody that would come in. So that's how we kind of knew a little bit about my style, my approach, my coaching style, which we'll get to why he wanted to work with me from that standpoint in a moment. But he would mainly just do classes and some random workouts with his wife that were pretty unstructured. But like, he was just like, I know I need to be in shape. I need to have strong legs for Frisbee. Right. But that was kind of it. Right. So when we started working together, let me take a step back. No, let me start here. So when me and him started working together, one of the key things that he wanted to focus on was like the aesthetics. He wanted to focus on the look. So where I started with him kind of a combination of bodybuilding, because that's like, there's principles from bodybuilding that can be used that are necessary to build muscle, right? And bodybuilding approach just leans into those principles a little bit more. So I do use a lot of that for myself and for others. I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder. I'm not trying to be Chris Bumstead. I will never be that big. I don't care, right? And you probably don't either. Daniel didn't either. But if you want to develop and build certain areas, then following those principles is going to be helpful. But I also crossed it with functional and powerlifting, because that's going to help him from a mobility standpoint and the functionality, and then for power and output for sport. So that's why I focus on those with him. Now, what we transitioned to with him was just powerlifting, because that's just what he enjoyed. And we worked on it. He came to me because he wanted to focus on getting stronger, getting better at compound movements, and understanding what it takes to build muscle. So, well, that was kind of the path for him. What I laid out to him, what I helped him with, was understanding that there are really three key things to take in mind for our training sessions in the gym. All right. Our movement and our cardio is a secondary piece for that. And I'll touch on that before I get into this. I actually didn't put space to talk about nutrition or about cardio and movement. Oopsies. All right, but all good. So we'll get to that in a moment. Okay, first and foremost, the three areas you need to focus on to build muscle is exercise selection, intensity, technique, or form. Okay, so the first thing before you even pick your exercises, you do need to pick your split. Split is just how you're going to break up your workouts in the week. What muscle groups you're going to hit on certain days, right? And then that will inform your exercise selection. So exercise selection is what matters, but split is kind of like a 1A piece that leads into it. So for him, or for everybody, we need at least 3 hours in the gym. That's it. If you can work that into your weekly schedule, you are taken care of. Okay. You can get away with 2. I've seen clients make some good progress with 2. My recommendation is going to be 3, because that is going to give you just time to have a little more volume to develop everything that you need, from legs to core to arms to all the different things in between. Okay. So that's where I would say at least 3 hours for 3 workouts a week. So that's where I'll start there. Now, so once you have that split picked out, that's how you're going to inform your exercise selection, right? So for him, we chose primarily, like I said, bodybuilding with powerlifting out the gate. So for powerlifting, he was doing deadlifts, squats, bench press. From a bodybuilding standpoint, like curls, tricep push downs, calf raises. He would do one at the beginning. He did one workout in a commercial gym, and that one he would do like leg curls, leg extensions, more machines that he didn't have access to at home because he had a similar setup to myself, but just a barbell rack. And then at home, it would be more of a powerlifting approach, right? Which is eventually what he just leaned into at the end of the day. So that's number one, is picking out the exercise selections. Now, the second big piece to all of this is the intensity, right? So this is like where you need to focus on what matters rather than just like what sounds like it matters or what you think may matter, right? So for intensity, what really matters is tension built, okay? Like I would even say that like, actually I know tension built is more important than like, did you progress reps or weight this week? Because if you weren't really doing much intensity last week, and then so yeah, you made progress, but you're still not moving the needle, you're not, pushing yourself harder than you were before, then in all reality, but you just added weight or you added a rep, then you're not actually, you're not coming up against a wall. You're not having challenge. You're not having difficulty that you need to break through to get to the other side, because that's where growth happens in all areas of life, not just with muscle, but with education, right? When you feel dumb and then you figure it out and you understand the subject, that's when you get smarter. When you feel weak in the gym, like you can't do it, and then by working at it for a few weeks, and then you are able to handle that weight for the given reps, tempo, whatever it may be, that is when you build muscle. So at the end of the day, it's not how much does it burn. It's not how tired are you after the workout. It's not how many reps or how much weight did you even do. How much stimulus tension did you build to create a stimulus response to build muscle? That is what matters, period. Okay. So that's one thing that I helped work with him on, is creating the tension necessary. Now, the key way in which we know that we have built said tension is through or by training close to failure, right? And now this is something that you probably have heard a lot, but the question is like, what the hell does that even mean, right? So there's 3 key ways that you want to look out for to signal that you are building muscle. The first is that your last reps are slower than your first, because the more your reps slow down, the closer you're getting to failure. Second is you need at least 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes breather between sets. If you're ready to go in 30 to 45 seconds, you ain't trading hard enough. And the last piece is that when your form starts to break down, because when your form starts to break down and it's getting challenging to actually maintain good form, that means that you're getting close to failure, because the muscles that are supporting that movement are having trouble now continuing to support that movement, which is why you are losing form, because other muscles are starting to take over and compensate for the deficiencies that the target muscle has. That was really long and complex, but I hope you're getting the point, right? So once we've gotten all that down for him, then the last piece to really maximize what he's doing in the gym is form. So what is going to help him to get the best form? Well, at the end of the day, I got to see it, right? So the biggest thing that I do with him and all the people that I work with online is we do a lot of video feedback. They send me a video and I get it back from them. Like, again, I got this gym right here, so I get to do pretty much all the exercises that my clients would be doing in the gym, and I can just direct them, show them myself doing it real time with the video. And that's what we did for him, because towards the end, like I said, he went from bodybuilding with powerlifting to just wanting to powerlift. So we were focusing on that big 3: deadlift, squat, bench. So we were nitpicking all the little idiosyncrasies, all the little nuances of what he was doing to make sure he felt it right, to make sure, he was able to progress with them. He wasn't having pain in the wrong areas. So that's what we were doing to be able to execute on the form side. So then that way he's able to, feel good, stay healthy, and just maximize the efficiency with what he's doing in the gym. Okay. So that's the key things and what really matters when it comes to the exercise side of it. Now, there is a third pillar that a lot of people won't talk about that we are going to focus on, that I focus on with him, because he's stressed. He's got a lot of things going on. He's moving his body a lot. He's doing a weird professional sport in ultimate frisbee. He's sitting at a desk all day. So these things need to be paid attention to, and they all fall under the umbrella of recovery. Okay. So there's 3 buckets that I think are important to think about when it comes to recovery: sleep, stress, and stretching. I know that's a hot topic, which is crazy. So starting with sleep, like most people should be trying to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, but there are outliers. There are people that can maximize efficiency with getting 6.5 hours, even less. But then there are also some people that are outliers on the other end. They need 8.5 to 9 hours to get an efficient night's sleep. I don't know what you are. I don't even know what Daniel is. I think I know what I am. But at the end of the day, you need to test what that is if you want to have good sleep. Now, there's a few key things. So, like, I can't tell you how long to sleep for. My general recommendation is to aim for 7 to 8, but pay attention to when your body naturally wakes up, because that will give you a clue. Doesn't mean it's perfect, but it will give you a clue. Now, if you don't get good sleep, what happens is it's the most catabolic thing that there is. Meaning, if you don't get good sleep, you're holding on in small increments, but it does happen. You're holding on the fat. You're blocking your ability to build muscle. A lot of bad things. It's catabolic. Basically means all the things you don't want to happen. So while we do want to go for that 7-8 hours, and we're not sure that's perfect, there's a few things that I want to just suggest that I suggested to Daniel, especially being a career-driven person, is have some sort of nightly routine. Like, shut your phone off an hour before you go to bed. Maybe read a book. That's what I do. Red light, if you have it. Sauna, if you have access to it. Those are both great. I dim the lights and I read that last hour. Some people meditate. Some people take deep breaths, which is close to meditating. All is good. Figure out what you got to do. But again, definitely shut that phone off, dim the lights, and have something that you do to calm yourself down. Last piece that I'll say is that the number one thing that shows that what helps good sleep is going to bed and waking up at generally the same time. If you're a clubber, that's going to be tough. But if you got a normal schedule, you're not trying to go out and hit the bars every single weekend, maybe just here and there, then you can generally do that. Just kind of find that groove of when is generally a good time for you to sleep and wake up for your work and your life. Now, number 2 is stress. For Daniel, like I said, worked at Meta, demanding company, big blue chip company that is, asks a lot. They apparently are good to some employees, but not all, as we know, but I'm not getting into that. Yeah, it can be a lot with stress sometimes. And so my biggest thing is, like, for me, what calms me down is my breathing, having a good routine, having things that I know that I fall back on, but that's different for everybody. So at the end of the day, I do recommend therapy for people. I did a lot of it in my life. So I'm not going to go into my takes on therapy and my specifics, but I would definitely recommend if you feel you need it, because, working out doesn't help you relieve stress. You don't have any fun activities that help you relieve stress, and your work stress is really high, then yeah, go ahead and, get some therapy, get some help, get somebody to talk to. Okay. It's totally okay and normal to need that. And fortunately, it's getting more and more acceptable. Now, stretching, like, look, I alluded to this earlier. It blows my mind that this is a controversial thing for people to do in this day and age, but at the end of the day, it's going to help your mobility. It's going to help you prevent injuries. And, like, sometimes you're just going to be so tight that it restricts proper movement, right? Because, like, yes, in theory, putting the weight under load is going to help you to lengthen the correct muscles. But if you have a good stretching routine, both static and dynamic, and maybe some foam rolling, then that's going to help when you go to do your workouts to actually get the full range of motion, to get into it quicker, to be more efficient with the time you do that. So for him and everyone else, I always go ahead and I give a warm-up blueprint for upper and lower, and then whatever tight areas, whatever injuries they have, I create specific cool downs and stretches for them to do on their own time as well. And for him, he had some back issues. So it was about, like, strengthening glutes, strengthening core, but also making sure that his hips were mobile, his hamstrings were mobile. Certain things like that were what we worked on for Daniel. Now, the last piece, most important piece for everybody, is consistency. And that's, like, this is the overall pillar. This is really what it is that we're trying to do at the end of the day, is create a consistent routine around our training and our nutrition. Because at the end of the day, the people who say fuck it and do whatever they want and go for the quick, easy, or cheaper fix for their meals, like getting fast food, you know what I mean? It's not it. It's not it. Because what you'll find is, like, even if you're doing, like, fast food because it's quick and easy, it's going to add up. Right. But the other thing is too, is, like, a lot of people are like, oh, I only have fast food around me. Yeah. Well, they also have better options at all these places. You can order double chicken and not 2 burgers, or double patties. You know what I mean? You can take the mayo off. There's different things that you can do. You can get animal style in and out. That's only relevant. Well, now that's relevant across the country, but you get my point, right? The idea is that we need to make good decisions, right? But at the end of the day, to help somebody be consistent, to help you be consistent, you need to figure out what are your downfalls, right? Is snacking a downfall? Well, for some people, having a good snack is, like a protein bar or jerky or fruits or veggies. And some people like, no, I want popcorn. I want sugar. I want something like that. It's like, well, you need to find the balance in at the end of the day, right? So what I like to do with nutrition is, yes, figure out the balance that each individual needs, right? Can they have a little bit of the thing that they want to snack on, or do they need to cut it out, right? Can they have a cookie every single day, or do they need to save for a big one on the weekends, right? Do they have a meal that they love every day, or do they save for a full day of it, right? Like, there's different ways that we do it, right? Personally, for me, I have the same thing every single day, and on the weekends, I have more flexibility. I have French toast in the mornings. I have ice cream at night. It's a creamy, so it helps me with my protein, right? But that's part of the balance. That makes sense for me, right? But the thing that we did for him to get him into a consistency, to get him into a pattern that made sense for him, is we gave him a lot of flexibility on his dinners throughout the week, but locked in his breakfast, lunch, and snacks. So snacks are like protein bars, protein shakes, like hard-boiled eggs, jerky, tuna or chicken cans. Not for Daniel. He's a vegetarian. So for him, it was like high fiber, high veg meals that he was having with legumes, with different stuff like that. And he'd have multiple meals like that were considered snacks throughout the day, in addition to a big breakfast and lunch, and then something a little bit more, fun. I mean, obviously, as a vegetarian, they're still healthy, pretty much anything he has, but not as, low carb, low cal as the rest of his day, because he was having something fun with his wife at dinner. They're making it together, different stuff like that. And that's typically a good one that works for a lot of people. That doesn't mean we don't track those things. It doesn't mean we F off during them. It just means that we allow ourselves a little bit more flexibility by having breakfast, lunch, snacks so dialed in at the get, right? So that's a big one for him. And something to note on this too is that while, yes, like whole foods, lean proteins, complex fibers like potatoes, like veggies, all that kind of good stuff is ideal, maybe some dairy too if your stomach can handle it. Like, that doesn't mean that that's all you need to eat. Like, if you follow me, I eat a lot of burritos, a lot of sandwiches, a lot of bowls. I'll make like a high protein pizza or high protein dessert, like a brownie or something like that, because it's fun. I like mixing those in. So, like, again, like that's part of what makes sense for you. Do you like having those things, or would you rather just save and have like a real 1,000-calorie brownie on the weekend? Cool, but you're going to be eating 200 calories less during the week just to make up for that one brownie. When for me, I can work a high protein brownie into my meal every single day, and that gives me my fix, and I feel good about that. Whatever makes sense for you, but you just got to find what that is ultimately. And like what I do too for people, like I put this in here in my notes. Like, I have meal prep options, and I have an AI prompt that'll help you just find specific what are some good meals for you. So if you want access to those, DM me directly and I'll send those over to you free, no charge. But you gotta have to make it this far into the video to even get that free offer. And then the other piece of consistency is the training, right? Now, the biggest mistake most people make here is they think that you need motivation, but motivation comes and goes, right? I didn't feel motivated to start doing this afternoon. It's hot in my garage right now. I'm almost at an hour. I'm trying to give you guys as much as I can, but I'm not motivated to do this. The reason why I do it is because I care about the results on the back end. I care about helping people like you. I care about finding the people that I want to actually work with in my business, because I know that I can deliver for them and help them change their lives. And yeah, that's also going to help me to continue to do this and live this life, with my wife, with my family, as our family continues to grow. So there's no motivation behind this for me, but it's the back end of what is possible by putting in this work that makes me want to do it. And that's the same thing for going into the gym, right? I never want to go run, but I know how it feels after and how I feel like I can take on the world. So I do it. I never want to go try to squat more weight, because for fuck's sake, it's a lot. It's heavy and it sucks. But I know that if I do that, I'll feel better about myself. I'll be able to build muscle. I'll be able to eat more, honestly. So there's a lot of good things that come on the back end of it, despite whatever is going through your head or whatever challenges that you may be facing. Like, there are always something good that's going to come out of putting in the work. So like, don't wait for motivation. Don't look for it. Just find a reason, find something good on the back end of it that is going to make doing it the lesser of the two evils, right? Because if you don't do it, you don't get that thing. But if you do it, you got a chance. So not doing it is the lesser of two evils. You got to figure out what that is for you. Okay. Now, for Daniel, like I said, like one of the big things that goes into, enjoying it, or I gave away the whatever there, but like another big piece, like even if you are, struggling with motivation, or that's something that you still feel you need, like a few things that I like to do to, make it easier to stay consistent is doing exercise you enjoy. Like I said with Daniel, like, yeah, we started with some power, some bodybuilding, but he really just liked the powerlifting. So that's what we transitioned into towards the end. And that was cool. He was only doing powerlifts when you saw that transformation, when you saw his abs, when you saw how shredded he looked and his arms are big, everything. Like powerlifting works too. It's not what I like, but it's what he liked. But also too, like if you're busy, like he was, like he has all these things, all these buckets going on throughout the day. So a big thing that he did too was he scheduled out his workouts. Like he's got a calendar. We've all got calendars. If you're career driven, like I said, that's the type of people I work with. So you got a calendar. You're living by it. Create space in that calendar throughout the week for your workouts. That's another big one. As it doesn't matter how you guys break them up at the end of the day. All right, you guys. So I know I've given you a lot, but like at the end of the day, the Beachbody method works. And it works because we're finding what makes most sense for you. What's going to actually help you get the results based on your lifestyle, based on your preferences, based on what you want. That's what it's here for. It's not a quick fix, but you can see on it, if you execute, if you find those habits and routines that are best for you, you're going to get there at the end of the day, right? And like, man, I wish I could find that text too, but this dude was so amped when he finally got it, because it was life-changing. It did create this joy, just this happiness, this confidence as you walk through the world on the back end of it. And I know that it can have the same impact for you at the end of the day, especially because for him, he's been able to maintain it. And so that's just proof too, that you can, when you set those right habits, you can maintain it, right? You can still maintain your lifestyle. You can have your nights out. You can have whatever it is. It can be harder if you have a lot of those things, but if you find the right balance for you, totally achievable, right? So that's always what we're after at the end of the day. All right. So because you made it this far in this video, I have a special offer for you. All right. So if this is something that you're like, you know what, I like what Troy's got to say. I want to try it out for myself. I want to give it a go. I got something for you. And it starts with, I'm going to start you with the guarantee. So basically, what I'm offering is I'm going to help you to implement the Beachbody method. I'm going to get you a customized training program, customized nutrition guidelines, those calories and protein that we talk about, and help you find the habits that are going to fit your lifestyle to help you to stay consistent with this. Not just to help you to get to that Beachbody, but help you to be able to maintain it for years to come thereafter, right? Because why not sacrifice, let's just say at most 1 year, to be able to live the next 30, 40, 50 years of your life feeling fucking sexy and good when you rip your shirt off, right? So I'm going to do all that for you. And if you follow the plan to a T, if you're actually working to put those things in, those habits into place, and there are ways in which me and you are going to agree upon to track those, right? And it's always a little customized to the individual because I want to make sure it makes sense for you. That's why I say it like that. And you follow to a T, and you don't lose at least 10 pounds in the first 60 days while getting stronger, right? Doing both. Then I'll give you all your money back. I'll still work with you to get you to your goal, right? We're still going to put in the work to get you to whatever you said you want to do, 15, 20, 25 pounds. But if you don't get that first 10 pounds off in the first 60 days to show you that what we're doing works, that you got something going, something to work for, some momentum, then I'll give you all your money back. All right. You just got to make sure that you're doing all the right things. And if you're the type of person that can take information and execute, no brainer. Because if at the end of the first 3 months, if you do achieve your goal that we agreed upon for the 90-day goal, then you get the 4th month free too. I'm trying to give free shit away. Is clearly what I've decided here by looking at this. So like at the end of the day, if you're serious about leveling up your fitness and you want to completely change how you look while losing 20 plus pounds, building muscle and definition to feel confident, shirtless, at the beach, in the bedroom, wherever it may be, then there's space for you to book a call down below. No pressure at the end of the day. Like if you just want to figure out what it would look like for you, like you will walk away from that phone call with actionable advice that you can implement for your situation specifically. And if it's not right for you, like no worries. Like I tell so many people, I'm like, hey, I don't think this is actually right for you. This isn't the time. It happens all the time. Right. So if it's not right for you, I'll still give you some advice, but I'll be like, hey, this probably isn't for you, and send you on your way. All right. So if you just want to find out if it's right for you or what you can start doing now, there's going to be space down there for you to go ahead and book. So book, and I'm here for it. I'm here for you. But at the end of the day, if you want to take this seriously, if you want to make some changes and you want to work with me one-on-one, book that call. Let's have a chat. Peace.